So Trump's war on Harvard is continuing. I know I keep saying this every week, but it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. From the AP, Trump administration moves to cut $100 million in federal contracts for Harvard. This is after they've already cut, I want to say like billions of funding already. I'm sure the article will touch on it. But yeah, and now there's stuff going around that Trump's like targeting Harvard so much because they like denied family members and even potentially Barron from getting admitted. So I mean, I don't know if I believe that's the reason, because he's been like equally targeting all these colleges he perceives as woke or anti-Semitic. And it just so happens Harvard is one of the few that actually has a pair and is standing up to Trump saying, no, we're not going to let you modify our curriculum. No, we're not going to hand over our student records for foreign students. No, we're not going to change our hiring standards to what you want. No, we're not going to let you oversee our Middle Eastern studies curriculums. Like, and yes, everything I said there is something that the Trump administration is actively trying to force these colleges to do. The Trump administration asked federal agencies Tuesday to cancel contracts with Harvard University worth about $100 million, intensifying the president's clash with the nation's oldest and wealthiest university. The government has already canceled more than $2.6 billion in federal research grants for the Ivy League school. There it is. Billions already canceled, which has pushed back on the administration's demand for changes to several of its policies, and we just talked about those. It also includes redefining the definition of anti-Semitism. It prevents the organization of certain student groups. So any anti-Israel, anti-genocide, pro-Palestinian group, you can kiss that goodbye. They also want to crack down on any form of protest. So, and I don't know if I mentioned, but also changing their admission standards, which I assume is so they can make it so they don't admit as many people from that area unless they're Israeli. So it's just crazy. A letter sent Tuesday from the General Services Administration, which oversees contracting and real estate for the federal government, directed agencies to review contracts with the university and seek alternate arrangements. Now, all of this is legally questionable because this was money that was appropriated by Congress, and up until now, it was common knowledge or just common practice, common courtesy that the president can't just cancel and redirect funding that was allocated by Congress on, through his full authority. Normally, changes have to be approved by Congress, but it turns out that Trump exposed that our government was pretty much built like this whole checks and balances thing. That was all made up. That wasn't real. It was an illusion. It all relied on good faith actors to uphold these checks and balances. But when you have people that just say, yeah, I don't care. We don't have any mechanism in place to actually to change that or enforce things. Like, man, it's crazy. Crazy. Like, if you would have said this stuff was happening 10 years ago, you would have been laughed at. You would have... Okay, I digress. Where are we at? The New York Times first reported on the letter. President Donald Trump has railed against Harvard, calling it a hotbed of liberalism and anti-Semitism. The school filed a lawsuit on April 21st over the administration calls for changes to the university's leadership, governance, and admission policies. There's some of the things I just touched on. Since then, the administration has slashed the school's federal funding, moved to cut off enrollment of international students, and threatened its tax-exempt status. They have also threatened, I don't know Harvard specifically, but they've also threatened other universities, I want to say Harvard was included, to just revoke their accreditation. You want to revoke Harvard's accredited status, its accreditation. What are you talking about? Like, oh, God. Contracts include, so here are some of the contracts that these research grants went to. And before you're like, Harvard has their own money, like, why don't they just, like, the whole point was the government contracted Harvard to do this. It wasn't just giving this money for fun or to help out their school in general. No, it was provided for specific purposes, and a lot of that was research purposes. Contracts include scientific research, executive training. The administration has identified about 30 contracts across 9 agencies to be reviewed for cancellation. According to an administration official who was not authorized to speak publicly and provided details on the conditions of anonymity, the contract total, roughly $100 million, according to a senior administration official who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe internal deliberations. The contracts include executive training for Department of Homeland Security officials, research on health outcomes related to energy drinks, and a contract for graduate student research services. Agencies with contracts that are deemed critical are being directed not to halt them immediately, but to devise a plan to transition to a vendor other than Harvard. The letter applies only to federal contracts with Harvard and not its remaining research grants. Trump threatens to give Harvard's funding to trade schools. Trump laid into Harvard on social media over the weekend, threatening to cut an additional $3 billion in federal grants and give it to trade schools across the United States. He did not explain which grants he was referring to or how they could be reallocated. Yet you can't just do that. Now, I'm all for giving more money to trade schools. I think that's great, but not at the expense of higher education. This should just be like a focus in general, not like cut one and increase the other. Education's important, but obviously Republicans don't care about that because they love the uneducated. The president also accused Harvard of refusing to release the names of its foreign students in a new line of attack. He argued the students' home countries pay nothing towards their education and that some countries are not at all friendly to the United States. Oh my God. Who the hell cares? You're such a bitch. Oh my God. The biggest crybaby ever. Holy hell. Softest man on the planet is our president. International students are not eligible for federal financial aid, but Harvard offers its own aid to foreign and domestic students alike. We are still waiting for the foreign student list from Harvard so that we can determine, after a ridiculous expenditure of billions of dollars, how many radicalized lunatics, troublemakers, all should not be let back into our country, Trump said on social media. This is just like brain drain, the concept of like all the smart people just leaving the country. That is here. And some were leaving voluntarily and others were just kicking out. Like, this is so dangerous for the long-term outlook of our country because all this research, all these smart people, they're going to go somewhere else. Maybe they'll go to China. Maybe they'll go to Russia. Probably not Russia. Maybe they'll go to, I don't know, like who else? Like maybe if we're lucky, one of our Western allies for now in Europe. But yeah, this is just not good for the long-term health of our economy and our country overall. So it was not clear exactly what the president was referring to. The federal government already has access to visa information and other records on foreign students at Harvard and other universities. The Department of Homeland Security has demanded that Harvard turn over a trove of files related to its foreign students, including disciplinary records and records related to dangerous or violent activity. So you protest, you're getting kicked out of the country. If you, at this point, if you skip class, you are getting kicked out of the country. This is insane. Talk about government overreach. Like, I thought Republicans were supposed to be against this kind of stuff. Imagine if Biden was doing this stuff with colleges, saying, oh, they're too conservative. There's too much religion in our colleges. Or, he went through the whole race thing. He's like, you're not treating black people fairly. I'm going to crack down and revoke your funding. Republicans would fucking lose their minds. You'd never hear the end of it. You would never hear the end of it. Harvard says it's complied, but the agency said its response fell short and moved to revoke the university's ability to enroll foreign students. A federal judge in Boston temporarily blocked the move after Harvard sued. Harvard rallies against Trump administration. Trump administration officials have said some of Harvard's international students are promoting anti-Semitism on campus, but the ban on international students has nothing to do with combating anti-Semitism, said Jacob Miller, a former president of Harvard Hill, who is graduating this week with math and economic concentrations. Anti-Semitism is a real problem. It's a problem at Harvard. It's a problem in our country, Miller said Tuesday at a rally outside Harvard Yard. These policies would do nothing to combat the age-old hatred. Instead, they are designed to divide us. The Jewish community rejects the administration's narrative. We will not allow our identities to be invoked to destroy Harvard. Yeah, remember when Republicans were like so sick of DEI? And I mean, they just falsely thought that DEI was like exactly what Trump is trying to do to Harvard, which wasn't true at all, not even close. And like, they're just doing their own version of DEI. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Again, I could not imagine if Biden was doing this kind of stuff. And like, Republicans would be like, you can't, telling people not to be racist isn't going to do anything. Like, this isn't going to do anything. Like, what the fuck do you think this is going to do? Jesus Christ. Harvard President Alan Garber earlier this month said the university has made changes to its governance over the past year and a half, including a broad strategy to combat anti-Semitism. He said Harvard would not budge on its core legally protected principles over fears of retaliation. So they've like already done stuff. And this was the same with Columbia. Columbia basically did everything. Columbia University did everything that Trump wanted, and they still got their funding cut, and they're demanding more and more and more. You give them an inch, they take a mile. The government's ban would not apply to students graduating this week, such as Gemma Liu, a Chinese student who studied landscape architecture at the Harvard Graduate School of Design. I hope the situation will resolve, she said Tuesday. We'll have to see what happens next, but I do feel a privilege that I can actually graduate tomorrow. What the international students are caught in right now is just limbo, said Leo Gurdon, a graduating senior from Sweden. Other nations respond. Japan's government said Tuesday that it is looking for other ways to help Harvard's foreign students. Education Minister Toshiko Abe told reporters she planned to ask Japanese universities to compile measures to support international students. The University of Tokyo, Japan's top school, is considering temporarily accepting some Harvard students hit by the Trump sanctions. Yeah, I don't know how good the University of Tokyo is, but like the thing is, like, I'm sure some of these people went to Harvard for a reason. They chose Harvard. Universities in other countries have made similar moves, including two in Hong Kong that recently extended invitations to Harvard students. On Harvard's campus, law student Carson Durdell said he was proud of the university for standing up to Trump. He said intellectual independence has historically made the United States strong. It's the reason we're like a beacon for the rest of the world, he said. I think that undermining those things, cutting those things, is not only a bad short-term view, but a horrendous long-term view. Hey, it's almost like I just said that. Anyways, yeah, this is just crazy. Complete government overreach. And if you know anything about history and Nazi Germany, this is how fascists take over. They target education first, and are also coming up with all these lists and registries, whether it's autism or all these student records that they want to take and do whatever, God knows what. And also like just dehumanizing people. Like, we're at the point where like, there's too many Americans that just view illegal immigrants, and even documented immigrants, legal immigrants to some extent, as just not human. It's crazy. Same with trans people. Like, this is crazy. They are instigating fights amongst ourselves so that we don't look up to the people who are really screwing us. So we get stuck fighting these stupid, like, race wars, trans wars, whatever you want to refer to it as, while the people who are actually hurting us, spoiler alert, it's not trans people, it's not these international students, it's not illegal immigrants. It is the ultra wealthy, the top 1%, who completely owns our government, and a lot of them are just now in our government. Donald Trump, a billionaire, is our president. For a while, and probably still is behind the scenes, the second most powerful man in our government is Elon Musk, the world's richest person. It's all out there in the open for you to see. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.